Gave you an intro, but it's only right to do it again. You're like Apollo Creed. You're a man of many titles. NBA vet, broadcaster for ESPN, CBS, NBA TV. You do great work. I'm just thankful to have you on once again. How are you?
Man, I'm glad to be here, man. Thankful to work with you as well, man. The king of the analogies over there.
Yeah, I have a couple analogies up my sleeves. I'm working on some new ones. And I realized the other day, I was driving and my friend Combo, he has a podcast as well, Combo's Court. Shout out to him. He called me and I was just talking, just natural conversation. And I started just spitting out analogies. And he was like, you just always have analogies. I'm like, that's just naturally how me and my friends talk. And especially like when I was in class, I didn't want to get in trouble. I would have to say something that just no one else would pick up on with my boys or something like that. So it just comes straight from the dome, I guess.
Hey, man, it's a gift. It's working for you.
It is. Yeah, that's definitely my go-to. I want to start off with, you have been doing amazing work. And I've always admired people such as yourself who could be great at so many different things. I think people forget how hard it is to be great at one thing. Like, I'm just trying to be a great broadcaster, but you are a great player, great broadcaster. To be like, you look at a Steve Curry, you look at like a Perkins, you look at all these people who are able to play like a Shaq, but yet be a great businessman and then be a great broadcaster. Kevin Hart, what he does with stand-up comedy and then all the different business endeavors that he has always impresses me. So I wanted to ask you, how are you able to not only manage it, but how have you been able to master so many different skills?
I think the way to master different skills is make sure that it's something that you like, something that you're passionate about, and something that you're able to go all in for. So I've always loved talking basketball. Even if I wasn't doing it on TV, I'd be talking with my friends, or when I had hair, when I was at the barber shop and things of that nature. So since I'm passionate about that, I put time into it. And so I'm going to watch the games, but then I'm going to go look at the advanced analytics. I'm going to look at the stats. So I want to be able to combo both worlds as far as like, yo, I'm going to bring you that barbershop talk, but I'm going to give you the numbers to back it up. And so basically, to be good at a lot of different things, you just have to put the time in and be passionate about it. And that's why somebody like Kevin Hart can do so many things, or like a Jamie Foxx can be an actor, a singer, a comedian, because he's passionate and he puts the time in to be good. And so, and today, especially with like as much with social media and everything else, if you're passionate about something and people can feel your passion, they'll vibe with you. That's why people roll with you. Mentioned Kendrick Perkins. Kendrick Perkins might not say things the perfect way that some people think you should speak on TV. But because he's passionate and he got a vibe about him, people roll with him. He's one of the best that we have. So like, that's what it is. You just got to figure out what it is you want to be passionate about, go down that road, and you can do multiple things.
Right, absolutely. So I see your nice backdrop behind you, NBA TV. You just do, like I said, I love watching you, the way you break down the game and keeping it real. So
yeah, during the pandemic, man, they took over my office, man. So this is like my office and my studio. I had to do a lot of shows from right here.
That's what you got to do. So my question to you is, what's your favorite part of being an analyst? I know I'm going to ask you what your hardest part is, but as far as just watching the game, is there something that surprised you when you took on this endeavor in your career? Is there something that surprised you, like, wow, I really like this part of the job?
Yeah, I think the thing that surprised me the most about being an analyst was that I actually like calling games more than being an analyst. And I didn't know that would be the case. I was actually a little bit reluctant to step outside of my comfort zone and leave the desk and call games, but I did it for the NCAA tournament, did it for the NBA playoffs. And so that's something that really shocked me. I was like, I really like calling games. I just recently called the Dallas Mavericks game against the Denver Nuggets. So what really shocked me is that I really love, being the guy that actually calls the game, just because like there's a energy, a passion. I feel you can educate fans, and you're on there for 2 hours. It's just you and your host.
That's awesome. I'm going to call it right now. What's today's date? The 22nd. All right, I'm calling it right now on the 22nd. There's going to be a broadcast that features you and Ryan Hollins, because he does work.
Oh my God!
If I can get a broadcast with you and Ryan Hollins, that will be must see. I'm calling it right now. It's going to happen.
Hey man, we definitely need to make it happen. My man, shout out to Ryan Hollins. He's killing it for the Houston Rockets this year too.
Yeah, you guys, like, just being able to partake and just even just spectating your guys' Instagram lives. I'm like, this is just incredible, because you're two big personalities who are very passionate about the sport, but yet you have incredible knowledge and insight. So being able to, if we can see that on like actual broadcast, it would almost give like a TNT feel to like a play-by-play type of game.
Yeah, it would like if me and Ryan Hollins were ever to call a game, it would almost be like you might be too young to remember like when Bill Walton and Snapper Jones used to call games together, but it would be something similar to that effect.
I would pay for that. Absolutely. So that being said, it looks like the world that we live in, and it's only increasing because of social media. Social media has so many great things, but there's definitely a lot of people out there that are just on there to tear people down. They have no intention of providing any good. They just want to tear people down. So I imagine that's probably a difficult part, but was there any transition for you that was a little challenging being an analyst? Was it the social media aspects of just people commenting a hate? Was it players maybe pushing back? Was there anything that surprised you with being an analyst as far as a little bit challenging?
Nothing really surprised me, and I don't really worry about people's comments. Like I'm so like in my own space and comfortable in my own skin. Like if somebody says something to me on Twitter or Instagram, like I don't take it serious. It's like, hey man, you can't really affect my life. And if it's too disrespectful, I won't even respond. I'll just delete it and block that person. And sometimes I'll even just have fun with it myself. You know what I'm saying? Like, hey, but it's like, hey, you a bum. I'm like, I was a well-paid bum. You know what I'm saying? So like, it's all good. And so I just have fun with it. So those type of things don't bother me. I think for me, the hardest part is trying to be critical of sometimes when I have to be critical of a player, but I don't want to go overboard. And I think it's very important that players don't fall into the trap of what I'll say like certain other outlets do as far as they're super critical of these guys, but they go overboard for hot takes and clicks and likes and entertainment. And I think as players, yeah, we got a job to do. And when you mess up, we got to call you out, but we can't forget what it was to be on the other side. So that was the hardest part for me, is being like, hey, I got to call this guy out, but I ain't trying to go as far as like, a Skip Bayless. You know what I'm saying? I ain't trying to go to that end either, because that's a little bit out in the deep end.
Yeah, it's really interesting how that kind of came about. It's like there's a difference between holding a player accountable for what what they're capable of. Like, hey, one thing that stuck out to me is like a Paul George, for example. Like it seemed like there were certain people like, hey, like Paul, we know you could play better than this. Like you're going to be held accountable, especially what the expectations were for the Clippers. But it just seemed like some people took that opportunity and just run with it. Like you said, it almost attacks their character in a way. And that's the weird part for me that I could never get into. It's like, for one, you're doing something I can't do. So the last thing I'm going to do is tear you down. Secondly, I just feel like it's almost seemed personal. And I just don't like it when certain broadcasters do that. Like you said, some people just go overboard where it's like, okay, we're not even talking about basketball anymore. I feel like you're attacking the man's character. That's something I'm not into, but those are great points. I want to ask you about this. So the scuffle just happened. We'll transition to the NBA. We have the Lakers, Pistons, Isaiah Stewart, LeBron James. And before I even get your take on who was right and who was wrong, immediately you get comparisons, Malice in the Palace. That is not Malice in the Palace. I feel when you have adversity, especially for a team that seems unmotivated without a lot of life, these type of things will inspire and unite groups. I think this will actually be a benefit or a positive for the Lakers. Not that they wanted this necessarily to happen, but I feel like this could bring a group together a little bit more. Do you?
It's a possibility, but when I look at the Lakers, their togetherness isn't what I'm worried about. I'm worried about the product that they put together on the floor. I'm worried about, is Anthony Davis going to be comfortable playing the 5 all year long? Because I know he's scoffed at that, but that's what he has to do for this team. Is he willing to take the next step? Anthony Davis used to be a top 5 player. He's not in that top 5 anymore when you talk about Kevin Durant, Giannis, Luka, the Joker, Steph Curry. Like, I can give you a couple more names before we get to Anthony Davis. I think Anthony Davis has to step back into being a top 5 player. Russell Westbrook has to cut down his turnovers, and LeBron is going to have to keep doing his LeBron thing. We know, being the great player that he is. But whether this brings them together or not, in November, that really doesn't matter as much to me, because I'm worried about the product on the floor. Like, Russ can't be the guy that turns it over and shoots 30-something% from 3, because we know what's going to, like, you can't not value the ball and not shoot it well. And he's always going to be a volume shooter. So now I don't think that's going to change overnight. So I'm saying, hey, Russ is going to have to protect the ball. And then Anthony Davis has to take a step up. I'm looking at those two things way more than I'm looking at anything else the Lakers are doing.
Let me ask you that then. So that's an interesting point. Anthony Davis, it seems like after the championship, he just hasn't been himself. Obviously, last year he riddled with injuries. This year we've seen flashes of him like, okay, wow, that's AD, the 30-20 type of thing. What is it that brought him out of that top five? Because there was a point in time, especially when he was in New Orleans and he's entering the Lakers, it's like, well, yeah, this is that guy. And now it just seems like there's something missing. What is it?
I think last year, I'm not sure for what reason, he didn't show up to this season in shape. And I think Anthony Davis will tell you that. The Lakers will tell you that behind the scenes. I don't think he was in shape because he didn't look like the Anthony Davis that I'm used to seeing, and the numbers will reflect. Like you look at his numbers in New Orleans and in that year with the Lakers and what he did in the playoffs, and you look at the following season, you're like, yo, that's not Anthony Davis. And so I think as he's tried to get back to being himself, other guys have taken an upward trajectory. The Greek Freak now, 2 years ago, hey, we weren't saying the Greek Freak was arguably the best player in the league. He's elevated. Steph Curry was hurt. He's back. You know what I'm saying? So now he's up there. Luka's keep on being great. The Joker is taking his game up. He's the MVP, and he's carrying Denver, even though they're missing a lot of pieces right now. And so for Anthony Davis, I think he's taking a step back, and some of these other guys have taken a step up. And I think he's going to have to raise up to their level, and we know he can get there. He's that good, but he has to kind of do what the Joker does. Like, you look out there and Jamal Murray might not play, or Michael Porter might not be there because of injury, and you look at the team and you'll be like, that team's not so good. And because Joker's doing everything, they win. Why should we have that same expectation for Anthony Davis? I watched Denver last year win a playoff game, and their starting backcourt was Austin Rivers and Campazzo. And that's no disrespect to those guys, but that's not the backcourt we think of when we think of winning high-level playoff series. They beat the Portland Trailblazers. Anthony Davis has to be able to go out there and win me a playoff series when LeBron James ain't there. Or he has to be able in the regular season to carry the weight where the Lakers don't fall off a cliff just because Bron isn't there. And he hasn't shown that. So that's why he's not in the top five right now.
And I agree. Yeah, he's not top five right now. So that being said, is it possible for the Lakers with this group as constructed, if healthy, and the adjustments that you're talking about, do you see them winning a championship, or is this not a championship ball club? Like, they're going to have to make some trades come trading deadline.
Well, Anthony Davis plays at a high level. They can win a championship. For sure. If he's playing at a high level, like, what big man in the Western Conference is going to guard him?
No one.
We saw what happened when in the bubble when it was we saw his numbers against Denver. They couldn't guard him. He just has to be. But Anthony, to simplify it, Anthony Davis has to be the best player on the Lakers, not LeBron James, if they're going to win a championship. There it is. Just to simplify without over talking. Anthony Davis got to be, and I mean, we could look at the playoffs. When the Lakers get to the playoffs, he's got to be 30 points, 13, 14 rebounds, competing at the defensive end. He's got to be that if they're going to win a championship. LeBron's 18 years in. We can't tell LeBron, turn back the clock and go out there and get 30 points, 12 assists. Oh, yeah, then we need you to go out there and guard guys like Spider Mitchell and Luka and everybody else in the playoffs. I know we don't think the guy's human, but he's human. He's in his late 30s, man. So it's time for Anthony Davis to take the torch. And if he takes the torch, I think they have a chance to win. If he doesn't, we could be seeing somebody else come out like maybe a Phoenix, a Utah, or the Golden State Warriors, who right now are playing the best basketball in the Western Conference.
Right. Absolutely. And I agree with everything you just said. A healthy LeBron James with an Anthony Davis playing like the best player, maybe not the most valuable, but the best player. That's why I picked them to win the championship. I picked them last when they won it, and I'm picking them this year if healthy going in, to your point, if AD can step into that role. You just mentioned the Warriors. That's actually the next team I wanted to transition to. Steph, I don't know if you're a Marvel fan. I think I talked to you about this last time. You know, I have a lot of Marvel analogies.
And I used to collect comic books, so I know all. Yeah, we can be nerdy together. I used to collect comic books as a kid. Yeah, so I had all the comic books.
Perfect. So, and I got one for Giannis too. When I did the Marvel comparisons like years ago, I said it reminds me of Tony Stark, Iron Man. One thing that people don't like is like he just made it look fun and easy and with personality, and just he's a superstar amongst the stars. And the way Steph plays is just on another level, like just something you've never seen before. Every time you watch him play, there's going to be a moment or two or three where you just sit back like, I just don't know how he does it. No one else could do that. But now defensively, this team is nasty. Klay Thompson's coming back. Jordan Poole's balling out. Wiggins is playing like the Wiggins we want him to play like. Draymond Green seems reignited. This just has a feel to it that reminds me. I'm not saying they are that 73-9 team, but they seem like they have a chip on their shoulder and they have so much momentum right now. What are your expectations for this team? And two, do we take Steph Curry for granted? Because I've said that for a long time. We've seen this for so long. I felt like we almost took it for granted, but now it seems like he's getting those MVP type of discussions once again.
Yeah, I definitely think we've taken Steph Curry for granted. And it's because once Kevin Durant went there, it kind of downplayed Steph's star. It kind of dimmed the light on what Steph was as a superstar in this league because we just expected him to win it. And we're like, oh, well, he's winning because Kevin Durant's there, blah, blah, blah. But it just took away from the fact that he's that dude. He's the first and only unanimous MVP of this league, won MVP twice, best regular season record in NBA history. So he's done a lot in this league. And my expectations is that Golden State Warriors have go and they win the Western Conference for sure. I'm not saying guarantee, but that's my expectation because I'm looking at what they're doing right now, and they're doing things to me that translate. First of all, everybody's buying into their role. That's the most important thing on any championship level team. Everybody buys into their role. Wiggins, you talk about Wiggins, he's more comfortable being a second, third option than being the number one. Jordan Poole is stepping up. Like these guys are ready. They're going to get Wiseman back, Clay's back. So everybody's going to be comfortable in their role. Second of all, they're playing defense. Look at the numbers. Everybody loves shots and knocking down threes. If you do not defend, you will not win. It's just that simple. And all the numbers reflect it. It's funny that we're in a copycat league, so all the GMs want to copycat the three-point shooting that the Golden State Warriors did. But what really made them unique and champions was their defensive versatility spearheaded by Draymond Green. They were able to switch every pick and roll and get you to play one-on-one basketball while they were moving the ball around the perimeter playing team-oriented basketball. And so the defense they have combined with everybody buying into their roles, the star power of Steph Curry, and then Klay coming back, my expectation is for them to win the Western Conference. I know you got the Lakers. I got the Golden State Warriors, and I feel very, very confident about that pick because I don't even need Klay to be the old school Klay. I just need him to be out there and healthy because the spacing that he's going to create is incredible. And I think that Steph is a very unique star in this league because I might be wrong, but I think he's the only guy that I say scores in three ways. Most guys want ISOs, the ball brought to them, or they want the pick and roll. Most guys don't want to run the motion. Like Kevin Durant's an incredible scorer, but Kevin Durant's not running around the court like Steph. And so that's where I'm like, he's so different because he can be like, I'm going to get mine off the bounce. I'm going to get mine one-on-one and boogie on you. But then, man, I might just hit that thing ahead to Draymond, come off 3 baseline screens. And because everybody's looking at me, Wiseman might slip to the basket and get a layup. You know, because I just did a dribble handoff that worked the last time. This time Draymond keeps the dribble handoff. He goes to the basket, gets a layup. Like he can come off of screens and get guys open. That's part of the offense. It's just him running around and guys getting good looks because of it. And that is why they're so dangerous. Their star can attack you in 3 different ways, and they're a good defensive team. I don't know if anybody else has that.
Wow. Yeah, they just seem like the most balanced team. They're smart, like you said.
What other star can play off the ball like Steph Curry? And when Klay comes back, that means both their stars play off the ball.
Yeah, you're right. You look at all the primary scorers right now in the NBA. James Harden needs the ball. Luka needs the ball. Kevin Durant Kevin Durant can play off, but he's not going to be running around like Curry is.
Exactly.
Yeah, that's a fantastic point. That's why you're on the show. That's why you get paid big bucks. I really do think this Warriors team could be special. If it's not the Lakers, I do see it's the Warriors. I really am interested to see what the version of Klay we get back. Because even if he could just be 75-80% of himself, I don't expect him maybe to be the defender he once was, but just people literally play Steph Curry as soon as he crosses half court. You can't press up on him with 2 people when you have Klay on the wing right there. He could shoot just as good. He scored what was it, like 60-something points off 17 dribbles. The guy could shoot, and I don't think that's ever going to change.
Yeah, and that's the thing. He doesn't need to have the ball in his hands to be effective. And because he doesn't need the ball like that, that empowers everybody else.
Right.
And then I'm seeing different things that I like to call character wins. Like, hey, Steph Curry doesn't play, and they get a win. Steph Curry plays poorly the other night against Toronto. They get a win. That's this type of stuff that you need because it's going to build your young guys up. Steph Curry plays poorly. Jordan Poole plays well. Now you get into the playoffs. Jordan Poole has confidence in those big moments, and he's like, oh, okay, I'm ready. It's not new to him. He's not a fish out of water. So I love the Golden State Warriors. I know you like the Lakers. They have a lot of questions to me. Like I said, I won't write anybody off because it's way. I see so many hot taken. You can never write a team off in November because a lot of the teams that you think are good now won't be good at the end of the year. Some of the teams that you thought would just ho-hum, they're going to ascend. So it's way too early to write anybody off.
That's exactly what I don't do. I do it in the NFL. I do the same thing in the NFL as well. I just take a step back. I don't like to be a prisoner moment. I don't like to panic. If I can get a healthy LeBron and a healthy AD going postseason, it's hard to bet against that. But I won't be surprised if the Warriors do make it. One thing I do want to give Steph Curry credit is we look at the stats and the highlights. His leadership, it always starts from your leader. It kind of sets the tone for the rest of the roster. You never hear him like really bashing anybody. He's not upset even when they were losing. He stayed even keel. He was always motivated. And that's one thing that's so impressive is the competitor side of Steph. But we're going to have to do a friendly wager. And I think I'm willing to do that now if you are. We'll do another dinner or something like that whenever you're in Orlando.
And we can do dinner, push-ups, loser got to wear a jersey, whatever. All I'm saying is this. Look at all the positives we said for Golden State. We couldn't think of any negatives. Now look at what we're saying when you look at the Lakers. Can Russ stop turning it over? Well, he's always turning it over. Right. Is Russ going to be able to shoot the ball in the half court? Well, he's never been a guy that shoots the ball well in the half court. How's that spacing going to work out with LeBron? Like with the Lakers, it's a lot of questions. Where Golden State, it's like everything is like they just a stock that just continuing to rise. And the craziest thing is, as great as Steph Curry's playing right now, he's not even playing his best. We've seen him play better than this.
Yeah.
Like he's shooting like 40% from three right now. He normally for his career shoots 43 or better. You know, like he's shooting 44, 45% from the field. He normally shoots 47, 48. And we know that's coming. And guess what? When Clay gets there, the court's going to be even more spread out. The Golden State Warriors, to me, they're the team that I really like because everybody gets to touch the ball. They have so much offensive harmony. And defensively, they get after you. We still questioning, can the Lakers play defense? So I think I'm going to win this bet easily if they play.
Okay, the Lakers definitely have more questions than the Warriors right now. They have more answers. So let's make this bet. I'm making it now when the Lakers are at their lowest, too. Okay. So if the Lakers come out of the West, we're not even talking about the championship. If the Lakers come out of the West, you have to take a picture in a LeBron James jersey and tag me. If the Warriors come out the West, I'll take a picture in a Curry jersey and tag you.
Yeah, deal. Shook on.
All right, that's a deal. There we go. A couple last things I want to touch on is Giannis. So again, another Marvel analogy. I said he was the Hulk, which was like the most dominant force in the NBA. But I said the moment he becomes Professor Hulk, people forget Professor Hulk, Bruce Banner's a scientist. He's incredibly smart. You combine that with his dominance, that's the most powerful character of them all. So Giannis, I feel he unlocked Professor Hulk when he won a championship. He just looked at the game differently, making the right reads, passing. Finally, what Ryan and I always talk about is playing off the ball more, getting it in that mid-post, low post. He's scary, and he's making improvements. He looks better this year. I said, and I'll admit it, I believe he's the best player in the NBA right now. What are your thoughts on Giannis and the improvements he's making? Like, just the way he's approaching the game, the moves that are in his bag now, he didn't have.
So you got Giannis over KD?
Giannis is the best player in the world right now. KD is the more skilled basketball player, but Giannis, I feel, is a better leader. He's better defensively, and he's just so efficient with what he's doing in the minutes that he's playing, and he just won a championship. And let's not act like the Brooklyn Nets didn't have anybody. I understand Kevin Durant didn't have Kyrie and Harden wasn't at his best, but Giannis, I feel right now, especially winning that championship and doing what he's doing this season, it's kind of hard to dispute he's not the best player in the world.
I think it's a toss-up, and I won't say whether I like Kevin Durant right now, but somebody that says Giannis, I totally get that. And then if you're throwing just player, Now, if you throw in the leadership aspect, I have to go Giannis. Because I think KD has already said, I just want to hoop. I just want to play basketball. So he's really never been the leader of his teams. So like, he's always been the best player, but he hasn't always been the leader. So if we're throwing leadership in there, I could go with Giannis in that aspect. But you're right, Giannis looks more comfortable now. He looks like there's been a weight lifted off his shoulders. I don't have to prove anything. For the last 2 years before this championship, all he heard about is what he wasn't. Even though he had the MVPs, even though he had the defensive player of the year, all he heard about was what he wasn't in the playoffs. And now no one can say anything about that. You can't take that title away. And the way that he won the title in such a dominant fashion. This wasn't he won the title, but Middleton was the best player. No, there were some games Middleton was missing. Drew Holiday was missing. And Giannis was there every single night in, every night out. He looks better at the free throw line this year. Free throw line, he looks a lot more comfortable. He's not taking 10 seconds to shoot his free throw. He's just letting it fly. Listen, man, Giannis, the Bucks definitely, like, for me right now, if I'm picking who's coming out of the East, I would say the Bucks. And I know they started off the year with a little bit of a championship hangover, and, you know, they had, like, Middleton who had to miss some time, same thing with Drew Holiday. But at the end of the day, when you line them all up, they have the least amount of question marks of anybody in the Eastern Conference. So I like where Giannis and the Bucks are.
Right. No, yeah, and
I feel great for the Bucks, too. You know I hate saying good stuff about Duke guys. He played well for them.
Yeah, no, and I 100% agree.
Thrown out of the family for showing of all Duke guys showing Grayson Allen love. I might get thrown out of the Carolina family for that.
See, my middle name's Grayson, so we got to stick together. I root for the guy. I do. Let me ask you this. My last thing for you. I'm gonna put you on the spot.
Okay.
John Morant, to me, I said on SUV TV, I was with Shad and Coach Lewis and Shelvin Mack, and we were going over it, and I was saying, normally in an NBA career, you're especially for like those stars, those all-stars, those superstars, you come in the league, you show how good you are, earn a big contract. Then it gets into the second stage is winning. I want to win that championship. I have that pressure on me now. Or am I a winning player? And that third stage is you start getting into that mogul stage, investments, sponsorship deals, life off the court. John Morant and Trae Young, you could say Luka as well, but since Trae just had the success in the postseason, it's like they combine that first and second stage where they're showing how good they are, but it's resulting in wins, and they're already making an impact on winning for franchises that have been in a slump. So it's been beyond impressive to me. That being said, I'm a huge Zion guy. Generational talent. When he was playing, it was like anything we've ever seen. If you had to go back and you had to redraft these players, do you think not necessarily made a mistake, but would you take Ja over Zion right now?
Yes. But if I had to, once again, it's because I could look at what's happening right now. Now, back then, I would have taken Zion because he was the physical freak. But there's a lot more questions that come with Zion that doesn't come with Ja. Zion, the injury questions. Is he going to be on the court? Best ability is what?
Availability.
Exactly. Is he going to be available? Secondly, are you going to make the dedication in the weight room, the conditioning standpoint, in the kitchen? Are you going to do the things that you need to do to make sure your body is right? Because Zion, some people have been taking some shots at him. He's looked a little heavy. And so these are questions that I don't have about Ja. The only question we ever had about Ja is his jump shot going to improve? And he's answered that question. So with me knowing what I know today, if I had to pick Ja or Zion, the answer would be Ja, because there's less hassle. If I'm a GM, I don't have to worry about Ja showing up 40 pounds overweight. I don't have to worry about, is he going to be injured time in and time out? I don't have any of those questions. He's going to go out there and do what he does. And the Memphis roster isn't even that strong and he's winning. What happens when we really, really get this roster down, or like I said, some of those younger guys really grow up and start playing at an all-star level? What happens when we get another all-star? So I really like where Ja Morant is right now. I think that Zion is probably one of the more freakish players we have in this league, but Ja Morant's past him.
Right. I 100% agree. Brandon, I truly appreciate your time coming on my show. I know you're a busy guy. You're going to have to holler at Grant or Isaiah for me. I have a couple analogies for them as well. I'm breaking down every single guy on all these shows. I have some analogies I'm going to throw on you next time as well. But I appreciate you coming on. Is there anything you have left, anything you want to shout out, or where can people find you? We talked about social media. You know you're going to get some angry comments. Instagram, Twitter, the floor is yours.
Man, I'm not really doing but so much right now. I'm keeping low. You know, got an 18-month-old baby, so I'm in daddy mode. But if you're looking for me, you can always catch me on NBA TV, whether it's calling games or just doing broadcasts. A lot of times I'm working on Wednesdays and Thursdays a lot this year. I'm calling the Dallas Mavericks Milwaukee game, and then also I'm on social, Twitter, bwood_33 on Twitter and Instagram, and that's just where I'm at.
All right, so NBA vet, broadcaster, ESPN, CBS, NBA TV, the most important title of them all, father as well. It's been a pleasure. I look forward to the jersey picture after I win the bet. And until next time, Brandon.
You know you're not winning that bet, man. You're scared of that bet. Like when you go, because you're a numbers guy. When you look at the numbers, you're gonna be like, yeah, the Lakers got a lot of numbers that they got to adjust if they're gonna win a championship.
100% right now. If I'm going to put this up, I'll do a poll. Most people would definitely favor your side right now. The Warriors definitely have more answers. I agree with everything, but if there's no risk, there's no reward. So I have to stay. Awesome. Well, thank you, Brandon. We'll talk.